WhatsApp messages appear to show Hunter Biden demanding $10 million from a Chinese energy venture, promising the Bidens are, quote, the best at appeasing their partners.
Brooke Singman is here with the exclusive reporting. Hey, Brooke.
Hey, good morning, guys. That's right. The House Oversight Committee is releasing these stunning 2017 WhatsApp messages allegedly sent by Hunter Biden to a Chinese energy company associate saying, quote, $10 million per annum budget to use to further the interest of the joint venture. This move to $5 million is completely new to me and is not acceptable, obviously. I can make $5 million salary at any law firm in America. If you think it's about money, it is not. The Bidens are the best I know at doing exactly what the chairman wants from this partnership. It's been revealed that the now missing billionaire chairman of the Chinese energy company was tied to an intelligence agency for the Chinese Communist Party. Now, the revelations come following the messages released last week that showed Hunter used his father to pressure a Chinese associate. That message came out of testimony from an IRS whistleblower who claimed there was political interference in the federal investigation into Hunter Biden. And that whistleblower also said federal prosecutors blocked any questioning about President Biden.
If this was any other person, they likely would have already served their sentence. There were certain investigative steps we weren't allowed to take that could have led us to President Biden.
And you wanted to take them?
We needed to take them.
And you weren't allowed to take them?
That's correct.
New York Post columnist Miranda Devine says she hopes America has the whistleblowers back.
These allegations that the IRS whistleblowers brought forward that were exposed last week, they are too important. The evidence is too overwhelming to just be casually dismissed like that. Joe Biden is trying to show us that he doesn't care, he's not worried.
I also spoke exclusively with Republican Congressman Darrell Issa this week, who said the Biden administration can't keep its story straight. He says, quote, for months and months, both the president and on his behalf, his spokespeople have been saying the president did not have business communications with his son, Hunter Biden. It switched just a couple of days ago. It was switched to he was, quote, never in business with his son. Now, Fox News Digital also exposing the White House for omitting Hunter Biden from its visitor logs. We're learning he visited the White House over a dozen times in February of this year alone, but the logs no longer reveal any Biden family member visits for this year, 2023. Now, the White House has told Fox News Digital it's not releasing records of personal guests of the first and second families, despite it being done during the Obama administration when Biden was vice president.
You say to a game of tennis.
Come on, Grandma.
Okay, I'll get my racket. On second thought, I think I better sit this one out.
You crapped your pants again, didn't you?
I just don't feel confident.
Look at this, Jack. Here we are. It's oops, I crapped my pants. You see, it's got a big pad. Unlike my DOJ, these don't leak.
Hey, how do you know so much about oops, I crap my pants?
I'm wearing them, and I just did.
Oh, man. We're better than Saturday Night Live. The show, the memes are so good. Today is Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. Second IRS whistleblower comes forward and says that Hunter Biden willfully evaded millions of dollars in taxes. Original whistleblower gives new bombshell interview in the New York Times, turns on the Bidens. Congressman Wesley Hunt joins the show. Based Wesley Hunt from the great state of Texas. He's going to go Biden hunting with me on this show. Are you prepared? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? Not just with the oops, I crap my pants, adult Depends that clearly Joe Biden is wearing right now, especially if he's looking at the news cycle, but are you prepared for what Joe Biden's about to do to your finances? You see, Joe Biden's in charge of a little something called the U.S. Treasury, and that ain't going too well. There are bank collapses, stock market collapses, collapse in the value of the dollar, and if you look around the world, things aren't really heading in the right direction. So time to diversify a little bit. If you're smart, please go to my friends at Allegiance Gold. Please use Allegiance Gold. They'll protect your IRA, 401k, physical gold, and silver. If you call now, you can get up to $5,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. ProtectWithBenny.com today. ProtectWithBenny.com today. Get your gold and silver like I have. It's nice. It's really nice. Again, I will not regale you with stories of me sitting on my front porch, holding it, staring at it in the moonlight, like Gollum. ProtectWithBenny.com today. Oh boy! ladies and gentlemen. It would be nice to have some protection from the Lord right now, because Joe Biden just walked out onto the White House steps and gave the most donkey-like interview you have ever seen. Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen, straight up said, as it pertains to Vladimir Putin, that he is losing in the war that he's fighting. What war is that exactly? Joe, take it away.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a pariah around the world. It's not just NATO. It's not just the European Union. It's Japan. It's 40 nations.
Oh, Putin is losing the war. Putin's losing the war in Iraq? Yeah, that just happened. Dementia, man, it's a hell of a drug. Tough times for Joe Biden. God. Joe Biden also asked about the corruption with his son and his Chinese business partners. And there are new text messages showing that the Bidens are the best when it comes to their relationships with China and delivering for the chairman. I mean, you can't even make it up. You can't even make it up. It's too great. But let me tell you, the playbook's going to be the same old playbook. We're going to go back in time here to Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton in a second. And I'm going to show you exactly what they're going to try and pull, okay? So here we go. Joe Biden's finally being asked questions about his son, corruption, and China once more on the White House steps. This happened seconds ago. Watch.
President Biden, how involved were you in your son's Chinese shakedown text message? Were you sitting there? Were you involved?
No, I wasn't, and I don't.
Were you?
No.
No! Hey! Oops, I crapped my pants! No! Oof. Not going good. Not going good. What's the playbook they're going to use? Well, how are they going to get out of this one? What are they going to do? Well, Tucker Carlson had an amazing bit last night. He released his show at 9 p.m. ALX saying they really got to get on schedule with these things. 9 p.m. Still, we recorded it, got it up. You can find it on our social media. We'll play you a clip later on in the show. But Tucker's saying they're going to use war as a predicate in order to try and get you to forget about Biden's corruption. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Royce, let's play the Putin losing the war in Iraq clip, just like the front part of it again. Because Joe Biden tells you where they're going to go here. Now, Joe Biden has dementia, so he's not going to be able to say it as fluidly or smoothly as he should, but he tells you exactly where they're going to head here. Watch.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a pariah around the world. It's not.
So they're clearly losing the war in Iraq. That's what Joe Biden says about Putin. And then when asked about his corruption, he goes, "Arr!" What's the play here? And why is Joe Biden saying Iraq? Well, I got something for you, baby. You see, your boy Benny has a very good knowledge, a photorealistic memory of recent political scandals. That's what I do on this show. And I would like to regale you with a story of a man named Bill and a little lady named Monica. Now, a man named Bill and Monica, well, they had a beautiful, sordid, hot and heavy love affair inside of the White House, the likes of which you could find inside of some tabloid smut novel in a truck stop, which is probably where Bill Clinton was conceived anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, this was all happening while Hillary Clinton was home. Did you know that? Oh my God. This is something that I didn't know as I was researching this, that Bill Clinton and Monica had 9 verifiable dalliances together, special sessions in the Oval Office, and that Hillary Clinton was home for 7 of them. Did you know this? Oh my God. But here's something that I'm going to focus on today. We're not going to focus on, we did a whole Father's Day special about Bill Clinton's parent son wanting Monica's blue dress and the DNA evidence at the crime scene, as it were. We're going to move on from that. We're going to go to, how did Bill Clinton try to get out of this? Well, Bill Clinton, they lied. You know, he obviously lied. I didn't have sex with, and his wife, claptrap wife, Hildebeest, gets dragged in. And she calls it a right-wing conspiracy, right? Got it. Okay, DNA evidence, right-wing conspiracy. Here's something that was forgotten to history. Here's how they tried to get out of this scandal. Once they knew that the doors had been blown off, go on down to the impeachment section of this, will you, Royce? I want the people to see it. Here's old Wikipedia here. There's an article, there's the impeachment section. There it is, right there. Let's see. The obstruction of justice, well, that sounds familiar, and the perjury are both impeachable offenses. The House, which was controlled by the Republican Party, moved to impeach Bill Clinton. There was a delay on the impeachment vote due to a bombing campaign in where? Iraq. House of Representatives voted after the bombing campaign on 2 articles of impeachment against Bill Clinton. They ended up impeaching Bill Clinton. Went to a 21-day trial in the Senate. Senate, you need a 2/3 majority vote. Bill Clinton was not convicted in the Senate by trial, mainly along party lines. But nonetheless, they staged a war. Bill Clinton bombed Iraq in order to try and get out of this. That's the truth. And so when Joe Biden, seconds ago, is like, Putin's losing the war in Iraq, you know who was around for this impeachment vote? Joe Biden. You know who didn't vote to impeach Bill Clinton? Joe Biden. You know who's going to use the same old playbook now that it's coming true? That these people are guilty, guilty, guilty. And they have too much evidence. They can't get out from under the amount of evidence. And they're actually getting asked questions about it at the White House now. Oh, man. Trust me. Their focus is going to be fighting wars. They're going to try their hardest to go on and fight that war in Ukraine. They're going to hope for the worst possible result. Expect the ratcheting up of the neocon and warmongering narrative. That's what we're going to try and do. That's the playbook here. Is it going to work? That's why you ain't going to find me getting distracted. I didn't bring you the Titanic sub BS story. I didn't bring you all this stuff, like all this propaganda from the front lines, 5,000 miles away. No. We're going to stay laser focused. The Benny Brigade, ladies and gentlemen, we know these tricks. We've seen the front lines. We know how wars have been fought in the past, and we ain't going to let them trick us again. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the trenches. We're fighting the real battles here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a focus on what is really happening. We're not going to get distracted. We're going to bring you this news breaking last night. In the dark of night, a new whistleblower is coming forward against the Bidens. A second whistleblower from inside the IRS saying, in fact, that Hunter Biden owes the government multi-millions in taxes, that he wasn't charged for the egregious crimes that would have landed any of us in prison for the rest of our lives. And now they have corroborating whistleblowers. Ooh, that's going to be tough for them to do. Watch.
Well, breaking, another whistleblower is sounding the alarm in the Hunter Biden tax probe, claiming U.S. Attorney David Weiss was not making decisions and was not really in charge. That validates what we have already heard from Gary Shapley, the whistleblower who has gone public. David Spunt is live at the Justice Department with the latest. David, what do we know about this second whistleblower?
Trace, not much. We just know his name is Mr. X. Of course, it's not his real name, but he wants to be anonymous. He told congressional staff last month he became emotional after seeing the way that this probe was handled from the beginning. Mr. X worked under the more publicized whistleblower Gary Shapley, and a letter released last week, Mr. X says it was clear to him that Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney David Weiss was not running the probe. Quote, he had to follow the normal process. He had to go to Washington, D.C., the U.S. Attorney's Office, them saying no. So he really wasn't in charge. He had to follow the process, end quote. But
uh-oh. We got the old sad trombone for Joe Biden. Uh-oh. Joe Biden, we have another whistleblower. Oh, it's going to suck for you, dude. And it's going to suck because now your best friends, your stenographers, and your favorite propagandists in the corporate press are turning on you. Check this out from the New York Times. Now, the New York Times did their best to try and hide this bombshell, but lo and behold, here we have it. From the New York Times confirming what we've all known for quite a while here through their own independent reporting, that David Weiss was not allowed to bring charges against the Bidens. That David Weiss was stopped. Do you know what that's called? Obstruction of justice, if you're Irish. The New York Times confirmed one of the bombshell claims made about the Department of Justice mishandling of the Hunter Biden probe. Biden pleaded guilty to the misdemeanor tax violations and so forth. IRS whistleblower Gary Schlafly claimed that the U.S. Attorney David Weiss tried to charge Hunter Biden in California and Washington, D.C., and that Merrick Garland interfered. Now, the Times is confirming that Weiss did in fact try and bring those charges, and that the DOJ stepped in and said, no, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. We're going to give him the old touch of the feather, the old brush on the wrist. And you're not going to be able to actually charge this man for the crimes that he committed. Hot damn. That sounds a lot like obstruction of justice. Let's read to you from right-wing outlet The New York Times. In mid-2022, Mr. Weiss reached out to top federal prosecutor in Washington, D.C., Matthew Graves, to ask his office to pursue charges and was rebuffed, according to Mr. Schlafly's testimony, the Times wrote Tuesday. A similar request to prosecutors in the Central District of California, which included Los Angeles, which is, of course, what you do, right? You go to where Hunter Biden was committing those crimes, and you ask then the attorneys that oversee those areas to charge. This is why Donald Trump has to schlep up to New York, right? Because they're charging him in New York for what his business was doing in New York, right? It's all garbage anyway, but whatever. You have to be charged effectively where the crimes were committed, right? You can't just charge him in Montana. So he's asking California, Los Angeles. He was rejected. A second former IRS official, who has not been identified, told the House Republicans the same story. The episode was confirmed independently by the New York Times and the person of knowledge of the situation. So what does this mean? This means that you need a special counsel. That's what Bill Clinton got, going back to the Lewinsky scandal, because Bill Clinton's Department of Justice was so corrupt, they were never going to look into this. Bill Clinton thought he could get away with it by starting new wars and lying, even though there was DNA evidence on that dress. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what's going to be, that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at a secondary Clinton scandal. Now, did the Department of Justice turn down David Weiss's desire to have a special counsel? That is the big question. That's why David Weiss needs to go under oath. Jim Jordan saying the exact same thing. Drag that man in here, and let's get some answers. Watch.
Just 3 weeks ago, Trace, Weiss wrote and signed a letter addressed to House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan. We obtained a copy. It reads in part, I want to make clear that, as the Attorney General has stated, I have been granted ultimate authority over this matter, including responsibility for deciding where, when, and whether to file charges. Now, given the discrepancy between what Weiss allegedly said in the meeting and what he wrote in the letter, House Republicans want to hear from him and others in his office under oath.
We want to talk to David Weiss, the U.S. attorney. We want to get the answers, and the way you do that is to talk to these attorneys who handled this case.
Attorney General Merrick Garland has denied blocking Weiss from investigating. The story continues.
So here we go, baby. That's the next step. The next step is you bring in David Weiss. So it's like there's a lot of names being thrown around here. This is effectively the name that you got to know. David Weiss was the guy who was put in charge here. David Weiss was the guy who tried to charge Hunter Biden in multiple jurisdictions. That would have been very bad for Hunter Biden, and he was shut down by the Department of Justice. When David Weiss asked for a special counsel, he was told no. How do we know that? The first whistleblower. His name is Gary Schlafly. Gary Schlafly is the bravest man in America, arguably, right now. He is the original IRS whistleblower that came forward and said that this entire thing stinks to high heaven. I can't allow it. That we have effectively been had our hands chopped off, right? ISIS style, for trying to deliver justice to the Biden family here. And we were not allowed to look into Joe Biden. That's the most important part here. They were not allowed to ask questions that lead to Joe. His whistleblower testimony says that when they were asking to bring Hunter Biden in and ask him about the big guy and Pop in all of his text messages, who is the big guy? They were told definitively, you are not allowed to ask that line of questioning. This is a protection racket. It's very similar to the mob. Your government acts like your government is a cartel. The faster you understand that, the faster you can become awake, like the rest of us, and the faster we can get about the business of actually breaking up that cartel. Gary Schlafly, one of the most, arguably one of the bravest people living today in this country, was on CBS, which is his outlet of choice. He's been going to CBS for a lot of this reporting. And saying yesterday, new allegations against Merrick Garland, which is truly the target here. Now, everyone's saying, whoa, come on, you got to go after Joe, impeach Joe Biden. What you want is you want to go after the protection mechanisms around the Mafia Don. The Mafia Don is old. He has dementia. He can't operate without his sophisticated crime syndicate. He's sitting there in his chair. Joe Biden's old. Joe Biden's a dead fish in the water. It's the people around him, the sophisticated systems around him that protect him. You should go after those protection systems. In a RICO case, racketeering case, what you do is you gobble up all of the people that surround the people in charge of the mob. You start grabbing them and pulling them in. Merrick Garland is the target here. Whistleblower says so. Go.
I documented exactly what happened, and it doesn't seem to match what the Attorney General or the U.S. Attorney are saying today.
Shapley provided lawmakers this contemporaneous email he wrote after an October meeting last year. Shapley says Weiss told him the opposite, that Weiss is not the deciding person on whether charges are filed.
Oh, interesting. So Merrick Garland lied to Congress, because we have the tape of Merrick Garland being like, David Weiss can't bring any charges ever. I got to work on my Merrick Garland impression, especially if the guy's going to be handcuffed. But Merrick Garland's sitting there weeping before Congress like a bitter ex-girlfriend, right, who didn't get proposed to, wanted his Supreme Court seat so bad we'd stop that lunatic from being on the Supreme Court. You, me. We stopped him. Donald Trump's election stopped the Merrick Garland Supreme Court nomination. Instead, we got Neil Gorsuch. That was the guy who replaced him, the old switcheroo. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we have a situation where the whistleblower is saying that Merrick Garland's lying. He's lying under oath. He's lying directly to the Senate. And it's not just that. The whistleblower was on last night television saying we were prevented, we were stopped and handcuffed from investigating Joe Biden directly. Watch.
Shapley, who is still working for the IRS, told us that even before President Biden took office, he was directed to avoid leads involving Hunter's father.
There were certain investigative steps that we weren't allowed to take that could have led us to President Biden.
And you wanted to take them.
We needed to take them.
And you weren't allowed to take them.
That's correct.
So, you're not allowed to look into the actual investigation threads that would lead to Joe. You know, that sounds like, and I'm no lawyer. We have really smart lawyers join the show. We have Mike Davis, Brett Tolman. But that sounds a lot like obstruction of justice when you're not allowed to actually look into Joe. When you're not allowed to actually ask the questions as an investigator that would lead you to the crime scene. That's called obstruction of justice. That's what gets people impeached. Richard Nixon, Bill Clinton. But you got to start with those dirty attorney generals. And Kevin McCarthy has said that he is going to start with the dirty attorney generals. Ladies and gentlemen, at the White House yesterday, things are starting to heat up. Cringe Jean-Pierre wasn't even there. Cringe Jean-Pierre said, I've had enough. I've had enough. My hair's on fire. My hair's in flames. I've had enough. I gotta go. So they trotted out some dolt. They're like going down to like the B and C team, and they are bringing out some dolt onto the dais to take questions about Merrick Garland committing perjury. Yo, now it's getting hot. Watch.
Does the White House believe Attorney General Garland committed perjury when he testified under oath that Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss could bring charges outside his district?
I don't have any comment on this. Anita? Go ahead.
Within 10 days
Stephen, I'm moving on. Anita?
Oh, yeah. We're moving on. We're moving on. Yeah. Says the, J. Crew mannequin that they dragged out from back in the closet. Ooh, baby. Cringe Jean-Pierre doesn't even want to be on camera anymore. What does that tell you? What does that tell you when people start distancing themselves from Joe Biden? And we're going to play you Tucker's clip last night because Tucker, he has a thought about what's actually going on here. And of course, Tucker is, as ever, right. He's always right. They got themselves in hot water. Here's the clip that proves that they are lying, okay? We're going to play it because this is important evidence. This is going to be as famous as the I did not have sexual relations with that woman. This is going to be that version for your life, okay? Now, if you remember Bill Clinton saying that, good on you. This is the new iPhone version of that, all right? They've released the new product. Here is the official lie on the record that's going to get this guy impeached. Go.
Hunter Biden investigation, as I said, even in my own nomination confirmation hearing, is being run by and supervised by the United States Attorney for the District of Delaware. He is in charge of that investigation. There will not be interference of any political or improper kind. I have pledged not to interfere with that investigation, and I have carried through on my pledge. I have promised to ensure that he's able to carry out his investigation and that he be able to run it, and if he needs to bring it in another jurisdiction, he will have full authority to do that.
Does he have full authority to do that? Well, it's very interesting here because here, according to the New York Times, he does not. I'll throw the article up on screen one more time for your beautiful prying eyes to see. Ladies and gentlemen, here you have the pages of the New York Times with a photo of Hunter Biden inside of some type of Hunger Games, capital city in the Hunger Games, which is what D.C. looks like more and more to me, sitting there, dining with the people that are supposed to be investigating him. You remember that. Never forget that move. Never forget the move that these goblins went and had a state dinner, a fancy pants party, the day Hunter Biden pleaded guilty, not to the 10,000 crimes he should have been charged with, but like 2 little crimes that would get him out of jail. Nonetheless, the same people that are supposed to be investigating him are there going, ching ching, champagne dreams for all of us. Yeah. The dream's about to burst. The New York Times is saying, David Weiss was not allowed to bring charges. And Kevin McCarthy saying, hey, Merrick, you got some splaining to do. Watch.
Miranda Devine says that Joe Biden met with his business partners 12 times. 12 different times and 12 different deals, perhaps. So it's according to Rob Walker, who was in on all this stuff. Good friend. He's all over the laptop. So will this prompt you to do a impeachment inquiry?
Well, you apparently don't follow me on Twitter, because yesterday I laid out very, very clearly by July 6th, because of the allegations from the IRS, because of the whistleblowers and the DOJ, Garland, what he is saying and what David Weiss are saying privately are 2 different things.
Right.
And if it comes true what the IRS whistleblower is saying, we're going to start impeachment inquiries on the Attorney General.
Well, you heard it. You heard it from the man. Kevin McCarthy, Mr. Gavel, Mr. He can do it. Drop the hammer, Kevin. Kevin can do it. Kevin! I know you seen Home Alone? Kevin! Did you know that's actually Kevin McCarthy? Kevin McAllister. And Donald Trump's in Home Alone. Home Alone 2. Donald Trump helps Kevin find the front desk. It's all coming full circle here, the documentary of Home Alone. And Kevin McCarthy is dropping the gavel. I was professionally wrong about Kevin McCarthy. Here's his tweet that he's referencing there in that clip. Kevin McCarthy saying, yo, we are going to get to the facts, and if this whistleblower allegation is true, well, then there's going to be an impeachment inquiry into Merrick Garland, weaponization of the Department of Justice. You have it there in black and white. Let's go see. How'd that tweet do? Did that tweet do numbers? Yeah, there you go. 5,300 retweets, seen by 3.7 million people, and Rolls-Royce just gave it the old heart. Oh, boy. What hearts did the Bidens break? Man, this is really breaking Chinese hearts, I got to tell you that. Whatever cold little lump of coal is in the heart of Xi Jinping, the man who runs slave camps and concentration camps in our modern world. The man who imprisons racial minorities in his country in order to make you LeBron James's shoes. Well, he was getting love letters. The old love letter from the Bidens. Check this out. Hunter Biden told Chinese business associate that the Bidens are best known for doing exactly what the chairman wants for energy company deal in 2017. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, my goodness gracious. That's interesting. Check this out. We have the receipts here, once again, from the GOP Oversight Committee. Biden family cover-up. In a WhatsApp exchange dated 8/3/2017, Hunter Biden tells the energy associate from China, the guy associated with the Communist Party, the Bidens are best known, let's get this correct here. The Bidens are the best I know at doing what the chairman wants from this partnership. Huh? The chairman? What chairman is he talking about? What chairman exists in China? China. And notice the date here, 2017. It's important to understand that we live inside of a broken timeline. I don't believe in the multiverse, but we live inside of a timeline that wasn't ever supposed to happen. Joe Biden was already too old to run for president in 2016. He tried. He was told by the Democrat Party, no, you too old. Put the donkey out to pasture. Get that donkey out to pasture. So the Bidens thought this was their swan song. They thought that this was the end here. This was Donald Trump. Donald Trump was president here. The Bidens thought that they were just going to be free and clear, that no one was ever going to bother them. They weren't going to rattle any cages. This was going to be Joe Biden's like end act, right? Hoovering up millions of dollars, Clinton Foundation style. They never expected this smoke. That's what's so interesting about this current moment. They never expected the smoke. The House Oversight Committee and Accountability released a document Tuesday that reveals a WhatsApp communication between Hunter Biden and the Chinese Communist Party energy firm, saying that they are the best at delivering what the chairman wants for this partnership. The Bidens are the best, baby. And you wonder if we don't have a Manchurian candidate as president. You wonder if you don't. You wonder why like China is so thrilled to have Joe Biden as president. Because they got messages like this. Gargling their balls. Man. It's shocking in its depravity. These people are essentially in league with America's enemies. They're Nazi collaborators, okay? Back in the old days is what you'd call them. China's the enemy, man. They're communists. They run sweatshops. They run concentration camps. They're making tech with their military in order to fight America and win. And here's the Bidens saying, we do your bidding, the best. A friend of the show, Alan Dershowitz, who is a very esteemed legal scholar, Harvard professor, a man who really knows what it looks like to prosecute and to put people in jail, Alan Dershowitz was saying, the Bidens got some major issues here. Alan Dershowitz, by the way, going to be joining the program later in the week, and I hope you have some good questions for him. Here's Alan Dershowitz yesterday.
An organization like Judicial Watch, an organization that can come in amicus curiae and say, look, we can't leave it to the two parties here. They're both interested in preventing the whole truth from coming out. So Judicial Watch or some other organization comes in and says, we represent the people of this country. You have to call these people as witnesses. The law provides that a judge need not accept a plea bargain agreed to by both sides if there is a problem here. And if he concludes, for example, that Weiss was denied the ability to investigate beyond Delaware, then the deal's off, because the deal probably ends any possibility of prosecution in the District of Columbia or in Los Angeles. And if those were foreclosed in violation of what Garland said would be available to Weiss, then the deal's off. And you have to go back to square one. You have to conclude the investigation, and then you decide whether or not to make a plea bargain. Right now, the judge should not accept this plea bargain.
So you got some major issues here. They made this dirty deal. They concocted this deal with the devil in order for the Bidens to get off scot-free. But the judge is going to have to agree to let that deal go forward. And there is a precedent here for judges to not let that happen. There are some of the bigger cases in America, like Bernie Madoff, for instance. Like, judges didn't let these criminals off the hook because there's all this public pressure surrounding the cases. They're like, no, you're not allowed to. You're going to bring this to trial. We're going to go back to the jury here. Judges can do this. Dersh is saying, with the amount of scrutiny going on here, the judge is probably not going to let this plea deal for Hunter Biden go forward. Maybe that's why Hunter Biden was at Camp David with his dad talking wartime strategy. Why do presidents go to Camp David? They were both there this weekend. Why would Hunter Biden schlep onto a helicopter to Camp David with his father? That's where presidents go in times of war. The Bidens see this as war, and as we just learned, the Bidens have now lawyered up to fight an impeachment inquiry. Well, hot diggity damn. So we got some interesting news from last night as it pertains to Tucker Carlson. Tucker, who's a man who, let's just say, knows a lot of things. He knows a lot of things. Tucker was born in California. He's a California native. Tucker Carlson has deep connections to California and knows a lot about the political system there. This is where Tucker Carlson cut his teeth, so to speak, politically. And he had a fascinating prediction last night saying that they're going to do the old switcheroo with Joe. That Joe doesn't know it yet, but they're going to pull the old switcheroo. You see, the lights are going out. The lights are flickering in the eyeballs. And you can see that. That happens to people when they get old. We had a meme at the start of the show. Oops, I crap my pants meme. I thought it was hysterical. Maybe we'll play it again at the end of the show. We do make fun of Joe Biden's age here, and we wouldn't do it if he wasn't president. We're not trying to be mean to the old man. What they're doing is elder abuse here. They should be locked up for this. Jill Biden, chiefly among them, should be locked up for the elder abuse. She knows, man. Family members know. Have you had a family member that the lights have sort of flickered out? That's just what happens. No harm. I mean, that's just the way that God designed us. Tucker Carlson saying that that's something that the Democrat Party, with all of their corruption and all of their little tactics here, is not able to reverse. All of their tricks and all of their ways to warp and manipulate the public, to psyop us, to rig processes, to obstruct justice, none of that can stop Joe Biden's aging. And they're going to swap Joe Biden with the governor of California. Tucker Carlson, speak to the people.
Synthesis. Nobody wants Kamala Harris to be president. No one will benefit if she becomes president. So logic suggests there's going to be a change. It's going to have to be somebody else. We do know whoever that is will have to have two essential criteria. He'll have to be as shallow, ruthless, and transactional as Joe Biden is, and he'll need to have flattery skills that are so polished and advanced they'd be considered superior even in the Saudi royal court. And there's only one man in modern America who fits that description: Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, and perhaps not coincidentally, Joe Biden's new closest friend. I am here, Mr. President, Newsom told Biden at an event the two did together last week. I am here as a proud American, as a proud Californian, mesmerized by not just your faith and your devotion to this country and the world we're trying to build, but by your results, by your action, by your passion, by your capacity to deliver. Those words rolled right off his forked tongue. He never stopped smiling. So if you're looking for the leader of the coup, there he is right there.
Oh, my. Oh, hot diggity dog. Holy guacamole, as the Californian might say. Tucker Carlson, who knows a lot of things about a lot of things, saying they're going to do the old switcheroo with Joe Biden. They know that he is too broken of a muppet. The threads are going bare. And that they don't got enough to beat Donald Trump with, that he's going to get clowned. Again, we played you the clip of Joe Biden saying that Putin's losing the war in Iraq. He said it! We played you the tape twice. He just said it like 2 seconds ago. We have the clip from yesterday. Joe Biden saying, yo, I sold a lot of state secrets. Oh, it's so good. Can we get that one again, ALX? Speaking of state secrets, real quick here, because I think it's worth covering. We try as hard as we can not to fill your feed and to fill your mind with pseudo news that is meant to distract you. That is why we did not. We stayed on. We are like a dog with a bone. We stayed on this story of the Biden corruption. It's why we're going to bring you Wesley Hunt from Texas in just a moment. Congressman is getting ready here, actually, in just a minute. It's why we don't get distracted. The Benny Brigade. We march forward. We keep our eye on the prize. We did talk about this little bit of audio recording of Donald Trump talking about some document having to do with Iran, of course. Having to do with these warmongers, of course. The left not praising Donald Trump. The left should be like worshiping Orange Man for not going to war with Iran, as the warmongers wanted him to do. Why is no one praising Donald Trump for this? He should be praised for this. He didn't go to war with Iran. Way to go! But nope, Orange Man bad. We're the warmongers now. They're the shills for big pharma, big corporations, and big war. It shows how intellectually consistent they all are. But we have some breaking news about that. Since we talked about it yesterday, we have been breaking news about that. A little bit of cornerstone for Jack Smith's indictment of Donald Trump, because this is the key evidence of indictment against Donald Trump. Because the rest of it is covered by Presidential Records Act, where Donald Trump has the right to take any record he wants. This, they're trying to show you that he showed classified information to people that didn't have the capacity to see it. Oh, but there's a little bit of a snag in that narrative. Take it away.
CBS News has learned that Trump has not been charged for keeping the document he's talking about on that tape. Special counsel Jack Smith's office declined to answer our questions about the Iran memo or the audio tape. Trump has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Nora.
Catherine Herridge, thank you very much.
Oh, that's got to be painful for CBS News. So apparently Trump showed a classified document. If you heard the article, he showed a classified document. You could hear him doing it. But that document wasn't classified. Donald Trump, that document is not among the classified documents, 31 classified documents. Joe Biden has 2,000 classified documents. Donald Trump, 31 classified documents, and that one wasn't among them. Well, that's interesting. So that means that wasn't classified, as Donald Trump's lawyer said yesterday, friend of the show, Lena Hava.
They put out doesn't answer that question. All it says is President Trump said, hi, look, if I was president, I can declassify a classified document. And when you're not president, you can't. Only the president can do that. What does that say? Well, it says exactly what dual system of justice we're living in. That's what I heard. That's what I saw. And by the way, all we know is that in the indictment itself, there was no Iran documents named as part of it. Just want the American public to realize that. That document that they claim he had was not part of the indictment. This is desperate times and desperate measures by people that are losing.
Oh, man. Oh, my. Uh-oh. Spaghetti-o. It looks like they're bringing another fake charge against Donald Trump. Now, what does Donald Trump have to say about it? Unlike many other sources out there, I'm not going to censor or try and manipulate Donald Trump, his words. I'm going to give you the straight dish. Donald Trump asked exactly about this document and about that tape, and here's what the man had to say. Have a listen.
And I said it very clearly. I had a whole desk full of lots of papers and mostly newspaper articles, copies of magazines, copies of different plans, copies of stories having to do with many, many subjects. And what was said was absolutely fine and very, very perfectly. We did nothing wrong. This is a whole hoax. This is just like the Russia deal. This is like the fake dossier. The dossier was a fake. It's all been a big fake. Ukraine. We went through these things ad nauseum, and this is 7 years of this stuff, and now this one. And the one who's done it wrong is Biden. He has 850 boxes all over the place. Nobody even knows where they are. He's got many boxes in Chinatown, D.C. What are they doing there? And he's accepting money from China. He's got boxes all over the place. I'm covered by the Presidential Records Act. I'm covered also by the Clinton Sox case. It's a very important case. It's law. And we did absolutely nothing wrong. This is just another hoax. It's called, I would say, election interference more than anything else.
Okay, we apologize for the low audio on that Trump clip. Sometimes the clips come through. Donald Trump just sometimes Trump is just like talking a little quietly, and we got to fix that in our edits. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will try and endeavor our best to bring you audio on clips that are loud enough for you to hear, and if not, we'll add subtitles. You don't need subtitles on this one, because if you want clip of a president talking about selling or sharing state secrets, baby, I got you. Watch.
I was just thinking, anyway, I started off without you. And I sold a lot of state secrets and a lot of very important things that we shared.
I sold a lot of state secrets and a lot of very important things. Ooh, man. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for telling us. Somebody who speaks very clearly, like the ring of a bell, ladies and gentlemen, is a man who marches out of the wilderness, the deserts of Texas. A man who served this country in the armed services, a man who knows what it's like to serve this country in politics and on the field of battle, and a man who has no fear. Wesley Hunt of Texas joins us now. Wesley, thank you so much for being on the program. Whoa, you are Texas out, baby.
All day. I'm home. I'm on recess. I get to be home, man.
Texas out. All right. We're going to start off the top with I want to talk all about Joe Biden's corruption. I want to start off the top with something that I thought was so rad from you. You said Pride Month. How about American Pride Month? That's what we're going to do now. Talk to me about it.
American Pride Month. Now, as you know, I love this country because this is the greatest country in the world, and I'm a product of it. I went to West Point. My brother went to West Point. My sister went to West Point. My dad's a retired colonel in the Army. 60 years with the military service just in my immediate family, and that can only happen in what I think is the greatest country in the world. Now, we have a Veterans Day. We have Independence Day. We have Memorial Day. And last month, we just celebrated Pride Month. Well, what I want to do is I want to challenge all these woke corporations to wave Old Glory, our flag, just as proudly and as high as you wave the rainbow flag. That's the point of this. We've got to start teaching our children and our posterity that this place is good. And while we're not perfect, it's as good as it gets in the entire world. And that's why I want American Pride Month to talk about our history every single day and to challenge these corporations to show how you feel about our country.
Yes. So this is, you have to, in order to have a successful country, you have to be proud of it. You have to be proud of your history. You have to be proud of where you came from, and you have to have a vision as to where you're going. And right now, it feels to a lot of people, especially in my audience, as though we're run by a criminal cartel. As though there is a cartel that has a mafia boss at the head of it and has mafia lawyers like Merrick Garland, and they are destroying the country through a dual system of justice and through really like letting people get away with murder. So, can you take me through, you're on the Judiciary Committee, yes. Can you take me through what Republicans have in store? We've covered McCarthy threatening impeachment. Where are we at?
Yes. So being on Judiciary, we have the responsibility of conveying all these wrongdoings to the American people. And I can assure you that Jim Jordan has a plan to do just that. But I want to talk about what happened on January 6th. And just 5 days later, they brought articles of impeachment against President Trump. Guess what? If we're really serious about this and we really want to get after this, we can operate on this and have articles of impeachment done within 5 days. And I think we now have a case. And I'm going to tell you this, man. I, quite frankly, don't think it's politically savvy enough for us to actually bring up articles of impeachment against Joe Biden. You know why? Because I want to run against this guy. A crash dummy can run against this guy and win. He shakes hands with air. He's falling down the stairs. He clearly is not competent enough to do this job. But guess what? He has pushed our hand enough, and now we have to do it. These crimes are utterly ridiculous. You're talking about who the big guy is. Him funneling $10 million to his family through his son. Do you know how much $10 million is? That's $9 million more than $1 million. That is actually real money. You're looking at this. You're looking at what's happening with Hunter Biden and the tax evasion issue and the gun charges and the duality of this system that the American public is completely and utterly sick of. And I want to say one thing that really gets on my nerves. The Democrat Party is supposed to be a Democrat Party for the minority, for the underrepresented minority. And they talk about CRT and how racist our country is and white privilege. So guess what? Here's Hunter Biden that's benefiting from presidential privilege and from the white privilege that you say is so prominent in our country. And what do you hear from them? Crickets. Crickets. And their hypocrisy, for me, is what's absolutely disgusting. You look at Lil Wayne, you look at Kodak Black, you look at Wesley Snipes, great first name, but I do pay my taxes. All these people did the exact same thing, and you hear nothing when Hunter Biden does these exact same crimes that these men got criminalized for and spent time in prison for. Where are they? What I discovered is this. This country is not a racist country. This is not about white privilege. This is about Democrat privilege. This is about liberal privilege. This is about the Joe Biden crime family privilege. It's about time that we pointed this out, starting with Judiciary, starting with articles of impeachment. And of course, let's not forget, we have to go to Merrick Garland as well, because I think he is the Pied Piper of all of this.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I want to talk about Merrick Garland, but because you brought up Kodak Black, let's throw his image up here. This guy's a rapper. This is a rapper who was on drugs and he had a gun charge. And this dude did 3 years in prison. Okay? It's the exact same thing as Hunter Biden. I mean, you could put it on paper. But all you got to do is change the skin color and the last name. And here we have a situation where young black men in America are going to look at this and they're going to say, what? Like, how do you look at this any other way and say, yo, this is absolute corruption. That is racist in nature because of two factors. One, Hunter Biden's white. Two, his last name is Biden.
Can I point this out? Who's talking about this? Republicans.
Yeah.
We are the ones that just want to see equal justice across the board. Yeah. And also the world's paying attention to this too. What if this were Donald Trump Jr.? What would be happening right now? He would be under the jail right now. It's this two-tiered system that this country is sick of, and I'm talking about black men in particular, because I've spoken to a lot of black men and looking at this very intently. And what happened to Kodak Black compared to what happened to Joe Biden is flat out wrong. And you can't deny what's happening here. And what just ticks me off more than anything is the fact that the left will say nothing about it. It's crickets. I'm in judiciary. They won't even touch this thing. We're talking about black people that are in judiciary that all they do is bring up race, except for when it comes to Hunter Biden and except for when it comes to this issue. It's unbelievable to me. And we are the ones, the conservatives, the Republicans, we are the ones that are bringing this up. Hey, I don't care what you look like. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you're a rapper. What I'm saying is this. If you're a crackhead and you're doing cocaine with Russian hookers, and you clearly have a gun that's illegally obtained through the ATF, then guess what? You should spend the same amount of jail time as any other American that does the exact same thing. That's all we want.
Yep. You're so right about Don Jr. And although I would say I would love to see Don Jr. get some face tats. I think that'd be super hardcore. Final question on this front. What message does this send to young black Americans?
You better vote Republican here in 2024. Get your mind right. If you want to continue this type of a two-tiered system, if you want to continue down the path of economic poverty like we've seen for the past 2 years, if you want Kamala Harris to be our president, because guess what? The Democrat Party has doubled down on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They won't even let Kennedy debate them. If you want that in the future, go ahead, keep it up. Vote for Joe Biden. However, I got a very strong feeling that President Trump is going to do very well, specifically amongst black men. And I want to tell you that in 2020, he got 18.7, almost 20% of the black male vote. And I think in 2024, he's going to get 30%. And if that happens, it's mathematically impossible for the Democrat Party to win. And I think whenever we see behavior like this coming from the Democrat Party, it makes it very easy for us. We're making the case. If you want change, if you want our country back, if you want economic success, not just for black people, but for all Americans, guess what? Vote for the boss.
Yo, Wesley, I mean, it really is. I don't want to linger on this point, but like, man, Joe Biden passed the crack laws. Joe Biden bragged on the floor of the Senate. Mandatory minimums, right?
Yes.
Like, he's the man who passed the tax laws. Yes. Joe Biden's the man who passed these laws having to do with foreign lobbying.
Yes.
Everything that Hunter has been accused of, and gun crime. I mean, hey, let's even Joe Biden, Mr. Champion against assault weapons and so on.
Yes,
dude. Every law that guy's broke. This is the weirdest daddy issue I've ever seen. Every law that his dad passed, Hunter Biden had to go break, like on camera.
You know, the 94 crime bill is one of my all-time favorites, as you can probably imagine, and how it disproportionately impacted black men in the country for the future. And it wasn't even addressed until who did it? Donald Trump. President Trump was the one that repealed a lot of the ills of the 94 crime bill while he was the president of this country. Let's stop lying to the American public. Look, what I understand about the people of this country are this. They're sick of this. They're sick of a two-tiered system. They are sick of what's happening at our border, and they are sick of what's happening with the privilege that we are seeing with Hunter Biden just because he's the son of a president and just because he's white. And we are sick and tired of the Democrats falling silent when they're supposed to be the party of the minority, the party of equality. This is not equal. This is unequal justice, and we all know it.
I want to move on to Merrick Garland because this is really big. I think that you are making a huge correction here for the American people in targeting of Merrick Garland, because he is clearly the mob boss here. He's clearly the guy, the mob lawyer, right? The guy who's protecting the boss. The boss is sitting here. The boss is out to lunch, right? Like, he's sitting there. He's past his prime. Yes. Merrick Garland is the protection racket around Joe Biden. That was his sole goal. It's starting to become very clear to us. The sole purpose to put Merrick Garland in that position is a bitter, old ex-girlfriend, didn't get the ring, he didn't get his Supreme Court seat, now he's going to take that all out on everyone, and he's going to protect Joe. So you're going after Merrick Garland. Can you block and tackle that for our audience? What's going to happen next? We have a date from McCarthy. McCarthy says impeachment inquiry. Here's the date. What's happening?
Here's actually what's happening. This gentleman is responsible for weaponizing the DOJ against a former president. Let me say that again. He is responsible for weaponizing the DOJ against a former president, a former head of our state. This is not a banana republic. This is the greatest country in the world. And I cannot believe that this is happening. This is what you see in Cuba. This is what you see in Venezuela. And at the end of the day, the American public has to make a decision over the course of the next few years. Are we going to continue to allow this to happen, or are we not? So what can we do about it? We have got to point out the hypocrisy. We've got to continue to point out the two-tier justice system like we saw in the Durham hearing. We've got to continue to bring these people forward and question them and to continue to make the case for the American people. Now, I want you to know something. Congress cannot put someone in jail. That's actually not our constitutional duty. But on judiciary, we can bring up articles of impeachment and expose these people for who they are, and then it goes to the Senate. Now, if we do our job, at a minimum, we should be impeaching this guy, and he's done far enough. His rap sheet is far enough and long enough to get this done.
Wow. I mean, I would say that strategically this is a genius move because you would force the press to cover it. We cover it every single day, but it would force, like, you would have maximum exposure if you started an impeachment inquiry.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the point. You know, I get asked this a lot, Wes. You know, Wesley, so what are you going to do about it? Benny, shows like you, this is what we're doing about it. We are exposing this to the American public because the media is not going to do us any favors. So we need fighters in the halls of Congress that are willing to ask the right questions, that want to stand on our own 2 feet and say, hey, here's what's done. A, B, C, and D. It's wrong. You're breaking the law. American public, pay attention. And then guess what? You have 18 months to get this right. You have 18 months to remove this corrupt regime so we can get our country back. That's the whole point. And I think that starting off with Merrick Garland and then eventually getting to Joe Biden, that needs to be the sequential activity as to how we impeach these people through our Judiciary Committee. And I can assure you, I've gotten to know Jim Jordan pretty well. He's ready.
I'm sorry. I just had a glitch there in my. In my earpiece. Ladies and gentlemen, we need fighters like Wesley Hunt. We gotta get him. He needs backup. Okay, this man's gone and fought wars for us. He needs backup in Congress. You got to get on his Twitter page. You got to follow this man. Let's throw it up. Where is it? We got it. All right, there you go, Royce. A little faster on the draw, Royce. You got to follow this man. Look at him go. Okay, what do we got? 140,000. We got to go. $250,000 for Wesley. We're going to follow this man. This man's a fighter. He needs backup. He needs to be able to speak to the people when he has something to say. More importantly, Wesley, how can people support you in your American Pride Month?
Please go to my Twitter page. Follow me. My website is wesleyfortexas.com. Look, do you love our country or not? I'm somebody that's willing to die for our country. I'm someone that's fought for our country. And what I know is I'm speaking to the overwhelming majority of Americans in this country that understand that if we could celebrate Gay Pride Month, then guess what? We can celebrate Old Glory. We can celebrate those that fought for our country, not for a day or two, not just for Independence Day. How about the whole month of July? And if you are a God-fearing, American-loving patriot, I think we should all get on board with this. And when I try to pass this legislation, I dare someone to vote against it.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get over there. Follow Wesley Hunt. And ladies and gentlemen, this man is on the hunt. He is a rock star. See ya, Wesley. Thank you for being on the program.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Peace. Sometimes it's live TV. Sometimes you have a little crackle in the old earpiece. You lose a second. That's just why we do the show live, baby. We do the show live. We want to bring you authenticity. Here is our 2024 campaign update for you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. Boom! I love Joe Biden in the adult cast there. Do we have the Joe Biden "Oops, I Crap My Pants" clip? Okay, all right. We'll play it one more time for you at the end of the show. Kevin McCarthy says that Trump is stronger today than he was in 2016. Well, he would probably be right. Here's some Morning Consult polls. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is now beating Joe Biden in national polling. Wow. Let me read to you the actual questions from the poll. How Trump and DeSantis perform against Biden in a hypothetical matchup. Share of voters who said that they would vote following in 2024 presidential election were held today. 41 to 44%. Donald Trump clobbering Joe Biden. And this is terrifying, by the way, because Donald Trump never won a national poll against Joe Biden in 2020. Now, you can say the polls are rigged, and I would agree with you. So what does this say? What does this say? Wrong poll. Next one. Other one. There you go. What does this say? Here it is. 44 to 41%. Ron DeSantis, 40 to 42%. So what did this say? Well, if the polls are rigged, and if they're run by leftists, which I think the Morning Consult is relatively fair. I don't know, ALX. Is Morning Consult fair? Dude, this is panic time. They got to get Trump now because he's beating Biden. That's crazy talk. Crazy talk. ALX says the Morning Consult is meh. Very important context here, says Rich Barris, one of our favorite pollsters. Considering the excuse-making frequently here, Morning Consult joins a slew of other polls to say that Trump is polling better than Biden ahead of the 2020 nationally. Emerson, Rasmussen, ABC WAPO, Harvard Harris, YouGov, and others representing a broad spectrum in the field. Trump is doing better than Joe Biden right now in the polls. Wowza. Wowza. And what he's quoting here is the general election, Trump versus Biden. I think this is from 2020. And you can see here that Joe Biden was always above Donald Trump in 2020. Okay? And so now Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden. Just to show how bananas this poll is. Bananas for us, ladies and gentlemen, is every time we do a meme for the show, we do the banana phone is actually one of our favorite memes. I don't even know. I still don't quite know what the banana phone meme is about, but we got to play that sometime. We'll bring back the banana phone. We'll bring it back sometime this week, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to leave you with good news. We will leave you with not just a Bible verse today, but also a meme that we hope will make you laugh. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the truth here, the real truth. Romans 5:2. Through him we have also obtained access by faith into his grace in which we stand, and we rejoice in the hope and the glory of God. What's the word that stands out to me there? Hope. Gotta hope. Sometimes you gotta wait on the Lord. It's not a pinball machine. You don't get to use the claw and just grab whatever goodie you want out of the bucket. That's not how faith works. Some people spend their entire life hoping against hope, faith against faith, praying for things that might happen, might not happen. God gives you promises. He asks for you to wait. God is a perfect God. He has perfect timing. He has a plan, and so we wait on that plan, and we hope for the glory of God. That's the best that we can ask for in life. And in the meantime, we rejoice, as Romans says here. So rejoice with us, ladies and gentlemen. Man, if we get justice in this life, whew, that'd be great. Rejoice with us. We'd like justice for the Bidens, for the criminal cartel that runs the country. We'd like justice for all of them. Be awesome. Will we get it? We hope. And in the meantime, we rejoice because we have a relationship with our Lord. We also have a relationship with memes on this channel, and I suppose we'll play you the opening meme of the show right now, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll sign off, and I'll leave you with this. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
What do you say to a game of tennis? Come on, Grandma. Okay, I'll get my racket. On second thought, I think I better sit this one out.
You crapped your pants again, didn't you?
I just don't feel confident.
Look at this, Jack. Here we are. It's Oops, I Crapped My Pants. You see, it's got a big pad. Unlike my DOJ, these don't leak.
How do you know so much about Oops, I Crapped My Pants?
I'm wearing them, and I just did